Akwaba, welcome back. If you are just joining us, we are discussing the powerful and important concept of Pan Africanism and some of the people who were proponents of a united global African people of the world. The goal was, and still is, restoring our people to our proper place on the world stage of history, culture, and policy making while creating and implementing our own vision and destiny. In its most basic form, Pan-Africanism is the idea that people of African descent, continental and diasporian, must unite based on shared origins, history, culture, struggles, and achievements. As a unifying philosophy, Pan-Africanism developed as an essential idea and strategy to wholeness in the aftermath of enslavement, colonialism, and segregation. It is a concept intended to reorient our worldview, our thinking about who we are in the world, and our relationships to and with each other. I'm talking connectedness. Pan-Africanism was and is about self-love, self-determination, and self-reliance, notwithstanding our individual differences in specific cultures and histories. Historian John Henrik Clarke famously said, "It's not where the slave owner dropped you off, it's where he picked you up." Let me say that again for the people in the back. It's not where the slave owner dropped our ancestors off. It's where he picked us up. We inherently are connected to one another, no matter where in Africa our ancestors were stolen from, and no matter where in the world our ancestors were dropped off, in pursuit of the ill-gotten gains of enslavement. Our deep understanding of this fundamental truth will eventually see us in good stead for our healing our fractures, reconnecting us as family, as well for our communal future development in all human endeavors. To be clear, white supremacy as a power juggernaut encompassed all aspects of oppression against people of African descent on the continent and in the diaspora. Breaking the yoke of white supremacy required an idea that unified with the belief that solidarity would enable a continent rich in resources, along with a global people, reach its highest potential, an alliance that would empower African people globally. Without a doubt, worldwide unity of African people would accrue enormous benefits that include economic, social, political, military, philosophical, and spiritual in health and wealth. As mentioned in the last segment, Pan-Africanism has espoused and promoted by numerous iconic leaders of African descent. As in any liberation movement, there were and continues to be strident voices speaking, agitating, and advocating for the human rights of formerly enslaved African people. They include such global icons as Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and Bermuda's own Dr. Paulu Camareka-Fago. A plethora of organizations were formed and conferences held, all in pursuit of creating a unified African people. The connections that were made, sustained, and became productive associations were bountiful as these leaders worked together, creating and attending conferences, co-organizing forums, and strategizing for liberation. Henry Sylvester Williams established the Pan African Association in 1897 and organized the first Pan African Conference in London, England in 1900. It was a precursor to the Pan African Congress developed in 1918 to 1919. Prior to Sylvester Williams, African Americans Martin Robertson Delaney and Edward Wilmot Blyden, that is Blyden, they developed Pan Africanism, with Delaney being considered the father of Black nationalism in the United States. In 1914, Jamaica's Marcus Garvey created the Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, as the umbrella arm for an array of initiatives that sought to develop Black entrepreneurship, industry, and relationships for connecting the fates of the African diaspora to the African continent. Upon moving to Harlem, New York in 1916, Garvey excited the masses of the Black world with his potent idea to the threat and disdain of the established order. In traveling and observing the conditions of Black people worldwide, Garvey powerfully exclaimed, "Africa for Africans," and began a mass movement that was political, economic, and rooted in Black pride and self-reliance. His vision for the Black world was whole cloth. Having traveled to the Americas, the Caribbean, parts of Europe, and with African contacts, Garvey weaved an African, Pan-Africanist, nationalistic cloth and was determined to gather the whole of that cloth and wrap it around people of African descent worldwide. The core principles of his Universal Negro Improvement Association, UNIA, encompass Kujichagulia, self-determination, in every aspect of human endeavor, especially education and racial pride, with a heavy emphasis on race consciousness. UNIA's mantra was all-encompassing: one God, one aim, one destiny. In pursuing the goals of the UNIA mantra, Garvey's vision included economic self-sufficiency through a wide variety of Black-owned businesses, complemented by a highly successful newspaper, The Negro World, that was the voice of the movement. Published in English, Spanish, and French, with journalistic contributions from all parts of the globe, it was distributed throughout the United States, the West Indies, Latin America, and Africa, and had over 50,000 subscribers. Garvey and Garveyism were and are central to the development of Black consciousness and pride internationally. No example of his legacy is more obvious than his creation of the liberation flag. Garvey said, "Show me the race or nation without a flag, and I will show you a race of people without any pride." The red, black, and green liberation flag is also called the Pan-African flag and represents an enduring aspect of the legacy of Garveyism. The liberation flag is regularly and consistently flown by people of African descent globally at cultural events and protests alike. Again, attesting to Garvey's incredible influence, versions of the flag made their way into independence flags of a number of African countries, including Kenya, Malawi, South Sudan, and Libya, as well as St. Kitts and Nevis. The color gold has also been used to signify the wealth of the continent, as in Ghana's flag that prominently features Garvey's Black Star in the center of its independence flag. Significantly, the flag colors of red, black, and green also serve as the cultural motif for the Pan-African cultural holiday, Kwanzaa, created in 1966 by Dr. Malana Karanga. I must add that since the emancipation observance of Juneteenth was declared a national U.S. holiday in 2021, a white woman, in the tradition of crass American capitalism, decided to create and market a red, white, and blue official Juneteenth flag. That bogus flag is being roundly rejected by conscious brothers and sisters, preferring Garvey's flag as our universal flag of choice. According to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Garvey, and I quote, was the first man on a mass scale and level to give millions of Negroes a sense of dignity and destiny and make the Negro feel that he was somebody. End quote. That sense of feeling like somebody inspired his followers, who were committed and reliable. Garveyism resonated with the masses of Black people internationally, with membership upwards of 2 million in 1920. It was, and still is, the largest mass grassroots movement of people of African descent for the common cause of liberation in history. Often referred to as Garveyism, his philosophy of self-determination for African people was certainly a contributor to the concept of Pan Africanism. Garvey's vision continues to inspire and inform people of African descent, from those seeking consciousness to freedom fighter activists. Various intellectual seeds towards Pan Africanism have been and continue to be planted since the onslaught of European imperialism, especially in the formation of African organizations. We'll be right back.